This morning our program guest is the Shadow Minister for Finance, Andrew Robb. But before then, we'll check out the Sunday papers around the country. And Lenore Taylor, the Prime Minister, Julia Gillard, has left for the United States and talks with Barack Obama.
Absolutely. She's leaving all of that behind her for 5 days. In the next hour, she'll touch down in the United States for a 5-day trip to New York and Washington. And like all her predecessors before her, she's taking her partner along on the major trip. Partners always get some degree of interest when they start to strut the international stage, and in this case it seems to also be interesting that he's not a husband but rather a first bloke.
And there's the royal, we're about to get the royal wave, of course, which is now obligatory, it seems. Is it a big deal that she's addressing Congress? It's she's the fourth Australian Prime Minister to do so, or will be?
Yeah, she is the fourth, and it's something that Kevin Rudd never got to do. So I think that somewhere in the Middle East, I think Kevin's going to be back in the Middle East this week. So somewhere in the Middle East, there'll be somebody pounding the table in his hotel room as she's addressing Congress.
Well, just on Kevin Rudd, and there are a couple of stories today in the Sunday Age and the Sun Herald, and they're contrasting in their nature.
They are. The one in the Sun Herald is about a story from Brisbane where Kevin Rudd, some of his old mates are sort of talking about the fact that he might be a bit delusional. But the major one is in the Age. There we are, we've got the one from Brisbane, that he might be a bit delusional and that he might be thinking that he can make a comeback. Now that stuff has been around ever since the day he stood in the courtyard and said, you know, I'm not going anywhere, I'm going to recontest my seat. So I don't think that's terribly new, but there is obviously, you know, a fair bit of gossip around. The other story, which is about his travels over the last week and again this week, where he's travelling around the world. He's been to the Middle East and North Africa, over to Kabul, back to the Middle East this week. I'm told that when he went to Egypt, he took with him an outline of an economic plan for the future of Egypt, which he had the bureaucrats in Foreign Affairs up all night drawing up for him to take. So I'm not sure what the Egyptians would have made of that.
It's Kevin, and he's there to help.
There wouldn't have been any change in Egypt if his initial policy thrust on Egypt was the dictator should stay in power in the interest of stability. But events changed. He now wants to modernise the new Egypt.
I'm not suggesting that he has done this in any way to take attention away from Julia Gillard's visit to the United States, but he was in Afghanistan in the last day or so, and he has released this video of himself on Facebook. Here it is.
I've been coming back here now probably about 4 or 5 times. I've probably seen a few of you before in different capacities. In fact, I first came to Afghanistan as a backbencher. Then I came back as leader of the opposition. I've been back several times as Prime Minister, and now I'm back as Foreign Minister, which probably means the next time I come back I'll be running the local Ausaid program, given my current career trajectory. And I don't want to put Ausaid down by saying that.
And Brian Toohey, 3 weeks out from the New South Wales election, and Labor has conceded defeat.
Well, the State Secretary who's running the campaign says that they're heading for a massive defeat. He says, look, the opposition shouldn't be winning by as much as they will. He doesn't say they shouldn't win. He just says it's too big a victory. And I don't think he's even claiming underdog status. They lost that long ago. They're just going out on their ear, and it's as simple as that.
They've sort of got dead dog status.
That's right. And it's nothing to do with the carbon tax, although a lot of people will paint it that way. This has been, in the wind or on the cards for a very long while. And Anthony Green, the ABC's election specialist, said on the ABC statewide program in New South Wales on Friday night, there's a very good chance that the coalition will get control of the upper house, or at least do so with the need of 1 or 2 votes from one of the very small parties, Shooter Party or one of the Christian parties, that sort of thing.
Well, there's always a race on election night for the first person to call it. Well, too late. It's done.
Yeah.
Now, and the Governor-General, Lenore, is front page news on a flour bill.
Absolutely. Taxpayers foot $110,000 flour bill. That's the cumulative figure. She apparently is spending on average $42,000 on flowers a year. That's $400 a week per residence. She says that's a 25% cut over recent years because she's subject to the much debated efficiency dividend like every other department. I guess we'll get a debate now about whether that's too much or too little on flowers. I guess, there's a bit of belt tightening that could be done there because it's more than most families would spend every week on food. On the other hand, if you want to have fresh flowers in all the official rooms at 2 official residences, that's probably what it costs.
Well, if it's too hefty, we can have a flower bill, I guess. A flower levy, perhaps. That's the Sunday Papers. To our program guest now, and the Shadow Minister for Finance, Andrew Robb. And to take us there, we'll listen in now on Joe Hockey and Simon Crean in the Parliament. And what goes around, comes around.